these are the reasons that I don't believe we have free will, and they are pretty hard to get around. Sight, sound, and touch, right? So these all take different amounts of time to reach you. So if, for example, we see things at the speed of light, right? And we hear things at the speed of sound, and we touch things at the speed of how fast signals can get to our brain. And the speed it takes to get from touching something or hearing something or seeing something into your brain are different.
Yeah.
They all enter your brain at different speeds. But we perceive them to be simultaneous most of the time.
Well, I'd imagine it's probably pretty quick, all things considered.
Well, it's quick,
Or-
yes, but it's not unnoticeable.
Oh, so this is one of them brain tricks.
Exactly. The
Okay.
brain, by about anywhere from 40 to 100 milliseconds, it lines the senses up, and then it's given to conscious awareness.
That's weird. It's crazy. The brain
Right.
is crazy.
Brain crazy. So already, what we perceive as our conscious awareness is about 40 to 100 milliseconds. Is what our brain took about 40 to 100 milliseconds to synchronize and then feed to our conscious awareness. Because if it didn't, sight, sound, and touch would be unsynchronized. Not by a lot, but they would be.
Yeah.
So already, it's one sort of knockdown of the domino for conscious awareness probably doesn't do anything in regards to decision making because your conscious awareness is already a bit late. The brain be doing stuff. So there's that. And there's also some experiments that were done by a scientist named Benjamin Libet. So he did some experiments that indicated that the brain blasts neurons that result in pushing a button up to about 500 milliseconds before the subject reported consciously making the decision to press said button. 500 milliseconds. They had an ECG. What's the brain thing?
Is it EKG?
EKG?
Doesn't
Or is
sound
it
right.
MRI? Is MRI brain
What is
scan?
EKG versus ECG?
ECG is electrocardiogram. I don't think that's right. That's like heart rate stuff, isn't it?
Well, an MRI is your brain.
Okay, I might be thinking MRI.
It's also a CAT scan, but I don't actually know what that is. What does it do? What does it photograph here? Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. So I think CAT scan can be just about anything.
Oh,
I think. Like X-ray kind of cross-section X-ray stuff. Yeah.
some kind of cross-section x-ray stuff.
That's what it said.
Okay.
I don't know what to
Well,
tell you.
I'm probably thinking MRI. Basically, the brain was shooting neurons to press this damn button before the conscious awareness, self-reported conscious decision to press the button. So that is that's pretty damning, but also self-reported kind of muddies things. People can self-report all kinds of mistakes and problems and
Right.
inconsistencies. So it's something, but it's honestly not that heavy of evidence. So another view of this is we are made up of particles and atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons, right? All these things we know how they work. All atoms and matter, it follows mathematical equations that we understand very well. At the quantum level, sometimes those mathematical equations aren't deterministic, they're probabilistic, but they still follow them, right? Based on something being more probable and another thing being less probable. To what it would mean for free will to exist is for you to be able to somehow alter or interrupt the process of neurons firing. It would have to alter particles in your brain following these mathematical laws that we understand. We follow the laws of physics just like everything else does, and there's no reason to believe that we can somehow transcend it.
Right.
So that it would have to be something metaphysical for us to have free will. So I wrote quite a bit down on narrowing that down quite a bit. So when you make an action, that happened because of a neuron that fired in the preceding second from that action. In the seconds to minutes before that neuron fired, those neurons were activated by a thought, a memory, an emotion, or a sensory stimulus.
Sure.
In the hours to days before, hormones shaped those thoughts, memories, emotions, and altered how sensitive your brain was to any certain given stimulus. In the preceding months to years, your environment shaped how those neurons function, causing some to create new connections and others to be more excitable, and the opposite in others. In the preceding years to decades, your brain's shape was formed by your childhood and upbringing, and before that, you've got your genetics, your baseline. There's no reason to believe any of that was interrupted by a sort of a me. There's no room for me, right?
Sure, yeah.
So let's say you got a dildo. It's there,
Where is it?
right there.
Okay.
You got a dildo. You flick a dildo that's in front of you.
Okay.
You flick it. That little finger flick.
Yep.
Okay. That flick was caused by a neuron that was in a particularly excited state, and it was stimulated by a neuron just upstream. And that neuron was stimulated by another neuron just upstream of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Find the neuron that started this process without any cause at all, and without any other stimulation of any other upstream neuron. Then show that this neuron was not influenced by if the person was hungry or stressed or tired or in pain. And nothing about this neuron could be altered by sight, sounds, smells, or any other sensory input, nor by the level of his hormones in the previous days, or whether by if he had a life-changing event in the previous months or years. And you get where this is going.
Yeah.
That is what it would mean for libertarian free will to exist. An uncaused neuron. A neuron that was caused by nothing. By a metaphysical you. A neuron that had no other upstream neuron that followed it. Preceded it, rather. So, now, some people would say this is where quantum mechanics comes in. And at the level of quantum mechanics, it is possible for quantum stuff to take place in your brain. But let's say this uncaused cause neuron was a quantum neuron. That's not going to happen, but let's just say that that's going to happen. It would be random. Quantum uncertainty is inherently random. So that certainly would not be free will. But back to this uncaused cause of a neuron. If you were to believe that kind of free will exists, libertarian free will, you're not going to find this uncaused neuron. It's just, it doesn't exist.
Right.
At that point, you're pointing to magic. And if you are to believe that an uncaused cause can happen, let's put this in a more recently formal state of a previous episode, you would have to believe that something unactualized can become actual on its own.
Right.
And we know very well that that cannot happen.
Unless it's purely actual.
Unless it is itself pure actuality. And we know that this neuron, this uncaused neuron, this unactualized actual neuron is not God. Because that is what it would mean for something to be purely actual.
But is it consciousness fundamental?
But is consciousness fundamental? Well,
we talked. I'm bring that up because we talked about that at one point. The idea of a fundamental consciousness,
right,
which would create room for some sort of free will in the chain of events. Theoretically,
maybe it would still have to sort of make up its own neuron.
Well, the problem is that it couldn't insert itself into the chain of events. It would have to be in and of itself fundamental. So it couldn't enter the stream.
Yeah, well, yeah. If consciousness is fundamental, it would mean that consciousness is a part of matter. Matter and consciousness would be almost one and the same.
Right.
And that would still not be able to interrupt this chain somewhere in the middle. That still wouldn't happen.
It's true.
Because it would still just be matter. Even though it would be conscious matter.
Yeah, so no, that wouldn't there still is a chain of events that have to take place, and those chain of events are determined in a way.
Right. They are determined. So honestly, that one of like the neuroscience angle, that's kind of like nail in the coffin of there's no way libertarian free will exists. There's just no way. Because that uncaused cause is what it would mean for you to be able to interrupt this chain of neuron causation and make a different decision in one scenario, all else being equal, being able to make one decision or another. That's what it would mean, and that's just not happening.